Blessed be everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about magic and surrender. But before we do, I'm Sandra from mysterywitchschool.com, author of Crafting Your Wiccan Path. And if you want to learn more about witchcraft and craft a witchcraft path, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any videos. And if you want to be more successful at your spell casting and magic, download my free PDF, Spellcaster Checklist. It gives you a guide as to the questions to ask yourself and the type of things you need to be thinking about when you are doing spell casting, particularly for spells that may be for longer term projects or things that are a little bit more out of reach. Not so much for things that are easy, but it's still good to have an understanding of what you need to be thinking about, how you need to be thinking when you are approaching magic. The link to the Spellcaster Checklist is in the description field below this video. Usually when we talk about magic, we're talking about projecting our will out into the world, influencing change, influencing people, events, making things happen the way we would like them to happen, having an influence, having some type of control to some extent over what happens in our lives, moving in a direction, having goals. It's very active energy. So we're dealing with activity, we're dealing with projecting ourselves and our energy and our intent out into the world. But we rarely talk about the other aspect of magic, which is the receiving aspect of it, where we need to be open to receive the results. We need to be surrendering to the energy of the magic, letting it go and letting it do its thing without attachment to the outcome. And in magic, we call that the lustful result. It's the attachment to the outcome that we have to let go of. And if you're familiar with the law of attraction, you'll understand that that aspect is the open to receiving aspect of the law of attraction. That part of the law of attraction where you have to deal with not doubting the results, but just giving it to the universe and expecting that the universe is going to make it happen in some way, shape or form. In magic, we have the Witch's Pyramid. And I've done a video on the Witch's Pyramid, so if you're not familiar with what that is, do have a look at my video on the Witch's Pyramid. I'll put the link in the description field below this video. But briefly, the Witch's Pyramid is 5 aspects of magic that make magic successful and the qualities that we have to have in order to be successful on the magical path. The first one is knowledge, or to know, and that's knowledge that you gain from other people's experiences and ideas, and the knowledge that you yourself attain along the way. And the knowledge you attain is the most important knowledge. Other people's ideas, experiments are theirs. It's secondhand knowledge, but the knowledge that you experience from your own experiences and your own experiments is first-hand knowledge, and that is really important to have that knowledge and have that gnosis. The second one is to dare, so that's being daring, having the courage to do magic, having the courage to stand in your power, having the courage to ask for what you want, having the courage to own your sovereignty, to understand that you are a sovereign being. Next is will. So to will is that projection of your will into the world, the intent into the world, putting it out there in the world, having the will also over yourself, so that you have the discipline to be able to learn the magic, to be able to discipline your mind so that you can have that one-pointed focus when you are doing your magic, and the discipline around your entire lifestyle so that you're not giving your energy away to the mundane cares of the world. You're not letting other people take your energy from you. You have that self-discipline, and that's a very big part of what will is. The other one is to be silent. And traditionally being silent was about not telling people about your magic or about what you do. A lot of that had to do with persecution in the past, and even current persecution, because witches are still being persecuted around the world. Things haven't changed in some parts of the world, and even in the Western world, witches are still being the ones that are being held responsible for all sorts of things that we're not responsible for. So we had to be silent. But the silence is also about our own inner silence, going inside of ourselves through meditation, contemplation, and developing our ability to listen to the information that we do get from our guides, from the universe, from the gods and goddesses. And the being silent part is an aspect of the surrender, because to be silent and to listen is letting go. It's trusting and it's letting go of control, because you're there and you're listening and you're being silent. And the fifth one is to go, which means taking action. So if you have done any type of magical work, there's always some real world action to take to enable that manifestation to be able to come into the physical realm. So when it comes to magic, we focus a lot on will. Will is projection, it's an active energy. It's about giving, so we're giving energy out into the universe. We're giving our intent out to the universe. We're giving energy out to the universe. It is a very active aspect. But in order to be able to have that magic to manifest, we have to be open to receiving the results of that magic. There's giving and there's taking. There's giving and receiving. They're the two aspects of the polarity, the yin and the yang. The yang is the giving, the yin is the receiving force. So it's important to work on your ability to receive, because we don't often work on that. Shadow work has a lot to do with the receiving aspect, because sometimes we can't get the results or receive the results of our magic because we may be blocking those results in some way. Instead of having an open hand to receive, we're actually holding it back because we either feel we don't deserve it, or we're not good enough, or we're not worthy, or we just don't have the ability to be able to be successful in magic. So that means we're closed off from the results. So receiving is about trusting the magic, trusting that you have the ability to put it out there to the gods and goddesses or spirits if you're working with those, putting it out there to the universe if you're more law of attraction oriented, and expecting that the results are going to manifest at some stage. It's about listening. Receiving is listening. It's about being silent and listening to any advice that you may be getting from your guides, any intuitive thoughts that you may have that may be pointing you in a particular direction to go next in order to receive the results of your magic. And to just trust that when you ask the deities for something and you do a spell, to trust that they are going to answer you in some way, shape or form. It's often not the result you wanted in the first place, as in it's not the result you expected. You may have a vision in your mind that it's going to work out in a particular way, but the spell ends up working out in another way, and you get quite surprised. And often that way that it works out can be quite miraculous, but most of the time it's very mundane and very, well, maybe that was just coincidence. Magic sometimes just isn't very brilliant and sparkly like it is on television or in the movies. Our guidance is part of that receiving. So when you're being guided to take action, a particular action, then that's the action to take to help the magic manifest. So the magic may be there ready for you, but there's something you need to do in order to have that manifesting for you. So it may be picking up the phone and making a phone call, something that simple, or it might be you get an urge to go to a particular store and have a look around, and you walk into that store and there is the thing you wanted. That's how magic can work. You might get a phone call from a friend who is going to offload something on you, and maybe what they're offloading is something that you've put the magic out there for. There's lots of different ways that it can come to you, and when you're open to receiving, you can receive the guidance. You can have the better timing, so the timing can be better when you do actually do things, when you take action. And the receiving is also about opening your creativity up, because that creative aspect of you is also a way of bringing the magic into the world and having it manifest for you. If you get a creative idea You've put magic out there, maybe for some money, and you get a creative idea of something you can make or do for money. Maybe you've got a little side hustle you could create out of that. Take note of that and follow that impulse and see where it leads. Now, sometimes it may not lead to the place you want it to lead. Other times it will. Magic isn't guaranteed. Just because you do a spell doesn't mean that it is actually going to work, or it's going to work the way you want it to work. Sometimes you have a block to it working. Maybe you do a spell and then afterwards you decide you don't really want what it is that you were doing the spell for, or maybe you feel some shame or guilt around it because maybe you did a spell for some money, but you feel guilty about asking the universe for money, that kind of thing. That can actually block your magic. So that's why we have to surrender. We have to let go then of the magic. You do your spell, you then go on, do something completely different for the rest of the day. You try not to think about your spell. You try not to even think about your desire. You just act as if it's already happened on an emotional level. And that's hard to do, because if you don't have something, sometimes it's really difficult to know what it would feel like to have it. If you're trying to change your life from being in a state of fear and insecurity because maybe you've spent a long time struggling with money, for example, it's going to be really difficult for you to know what it feels like to not have to struggle and to not be insecure about your finances. So you've got to use your creativity and your imagination to try and put yourself into an imaginary situation where you didn't feel the fear and the insecurity. And if you play with that and you have developed your will and you've done the exercises in creative visualization, developed your senses so that you can put yourself into a scenario in your mind, in your imagination, then your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So if you can imagine yourself in a situation where you're financially secure and spend enough time doing that, then your subconscious mind will start to give you the emotions of safety and security, and they're the emotions you can then use in your spell crafting and going through your day in that emotional state, which is not an easy thing to do, but when you remember, you try to go into that state. The whole spiritual path, the whole magical path is a work in progress. You're not going to be perfect at it at the get-go. You're going to have to take time to understand how this all works and to feel your way through it. So just try to enjoy it. Just get some joy from it. Have fun with it. It is meant to be fun and enjoyable, and the more you enjoy it and the more you can relax after you've done a spell and listen to your guidance, let it all go and surrender, then you will have more success with your magic. If you want to learn witchcraft with me, take a look at the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. It's a 12-month course where I guide you through the beginnings, the first degree of witchcraft or Wicca. And you learn all about the Sabbats, how to work with the deities, how to work with the lunar energies, and how to practice the craft without the confusion of not knowing what to do or where to go, and having me as your guide along the way, as well as a community of people that you can actually interact with via Zoom and also via social media. So it's a community of people who are walking the talk and actually practicing the craft and bringing it into their lives so that they can create their lives, and you can create your life the way you want it to be. You can take back your sovereignty, you can take back your autonomy and your own authority and walk your path in a way that has meaning for you, that has connection for you. We so need that right now, because the way the world is at the moment, there is just so much heartache and trouble out there in the world. You want to bring your path into a state of more serenity and more connection so that you can navigate your way through this, and not just to help yourself, but to help other people as well. What you do in your own spiritual work, what you do in your own magical work, gets reflected out there into the community, into your friends, your family. So when you make these changes within yourself and you start connecting to your own practice yourself, it changes you, and that change can then ripple out then to the people around you, and you can actually be of benefit in the world. You can help other people by doing this. And that is probably the most valuable thing about walking this path, is that you become not just more connected to yourself and spirit and nature, but you help other people as well. If you liked the video, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm Sandra from MysteryWitchSchool.com, and if you do want to join me at the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy, the link is in the description field below this video. Blessed be.